Okay, in this lesson what we're going to do is learn a couple last things about tables. We're going to learn how to combine the contents of one cell or multiple cells into one, and we're also going to talk about the concept of cell padding and cell spacing. So just to refresh your memory, what we have going on is our table with our picture of our shrimp. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine these cells right here, the ones that have 4, 5, and 6 in them, into one cell. And the reason we might want that to happen is because if we want to type some text to span the whole table, we would need to combine those so it doesn't stop at the borders between the cells. So I'm going to go back to our index file. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look at the TDs for 4, 5, and 6. And what I'm going to do on the TD of the first cell is I'm going to add another attribute. And I'm going to add the attribute callSpan, and I'm going to set that equal to 3 because I want it to span the 3 columns that are in this row. So what it's going to do is it's going to have this one take over the real estate of all 3 of them, which means you need to be careful and delete the other 2 TDs, or it will try to tack them on at the end of the table and actually make your table a little messed up. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those, and I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go back to our document and reload it. And now you can see how that works out, that this column, the pink column here, the pink TD spans the whole width of the table. So if we were to type in this cell, it would go ahead and go past the second and third column boundaries. So that right there is callSpan. Now if you wanted to combine these 2 rows, you have a different one just called rowSpan instead. Okay. So that is the concept of callSpan and rowSpan that allows you to combine cells. The other thing I want to go over in this lesson is the concept of cell padding and cell spacing. These are 2 things where you can add space to the table, the dimensions of the table if you want. And the difference between those is whether it happens outside of the cell or if it happens inside of the cell. If you have cell padding, that's going to add space inside the cell. So if you have text inside of a cell, inside one of your TDs, then by default it's going to line up on the left hand side of the cell border without any space at all. But if you wanted some space, you can actually use the attribute of cell padding. There's padding inside the cell. So I'm going to put this on the table, and I'm just going to go ahead and set cell padding equal to a measurement in pixels. In this case, let's go ahead and make it 5, and you can see the difference. So when I save that and go back to our document, notice again how the text and the image all line up directly with the edge of the table, but when we reload it and it adds that padding, you'll see the 5 pixels of space added to that. And if you can't really see that, let me make this a little bit bigger and maybe you can see it a little bit better. So we save that, we reload it one more time, and you can see now that there's in effect a 10 pixel margin off the edge of the border. So that makes space inside the cell. If I want more space between the cells, then what I'm going to use is cell spacing. Now these 2 things can be used together, but in this case I'm going to go ahead and show them to you separately so you can see the difference. So now we're going to go from cell padding to cell spacing. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and I'm going to reload that, and you can see that it actually increases. It makes it look like the border of the table has increased, but realistically it has increased the amount of white space between those. So if you had a border color set using a cascading style sheet, which we'll cover later, you would see the difference there. So that right there concludes what you need to know on tables for your lab. In the next lesson, we're going to go over forms and how to get feedback from your users.